Good afternoon. Today I am discussing about solid mechanics. This is my lecture number 5 and continuation with the fourth lecture, module 2. The subject code is PCME 502 and the topic is ideal plasticity. Okay, module 2. The lecture 5, the topic is ideal plasticity, prepared by Bendu Mondal. Myself, assistant professor, mechanical engineering department. Okay. Now, what is ideal plasticity? Okay, ideal plasticity, if we accept the Drucker's definition of strain hardening, we can define ideal plasticity as a plastic deformation without strain hardening, mathematically specified by the condition that when plastic deformation occurs, mathematically plastic deformation occurs with the equality sign prevails d sigma ij p means plasticity equal to 0, and that the yield function is unaffected. Okay, yield function is unaffected. The differential d sigma ij and d eij p, okay, d eij p must be interpreted in section. As an application of this definition, we shall derive the flow rule. During plastic deformation, we notice that yield function furnishes a criterion to tell whether yielding occurs or not. Very important. If yielding does occur, we need further information concerning the increment or rate of deformation inward to complete our description of the material behavior. Okay, in other words, we need the flow rule. First one, now for an ideal plastic material, we assume that yield function f sigma ij exists, which is a function of the screen sigma ij and not in the strain sigma ij p, such that f sigma ij less than equal to 0. Okay, sigma ij p, p means plastic, epsilon ij p, that is epsilon strain, p means plastic only if f sigma ij equal to 0. Okay, now since f is assumed to be a function of sigma ij only, any change of stress during plastic flow must satisfy the relation df equal to del f by del sigma ij d sigma ij equal to 0. But when plastic flow occurs, this equation holds. A comparison of equation 1 and 3 d e ij p equal to lambda del f by del sigma ij, where delta, actually where lambda is an arbitrary constant of proportionality. Okay, lambda is an ideally constant of proportionality. We shall write this equation e ij p, okay, that is equal to 1 by mu del f by del sigma ij. Okay, if del f by del sigma ij, actually if del f by del sigma ij, this one, del f by del sigma ij means this equation, if you follow del f by del sigma ij, this one has the dimensions of stress, then mu has a significant of the coefficient of viscosity. The sign lambda or mu restricted by the condition that plastic flow always involves dissipation of mechanical energy, a condition which may be written as w dot sigma ij E dot IJP greater than 0. The formula 4 gives the rule of plastic flow. Plastic strain increments. The connection between yield condition and flow rule was first stipulated by Richard von Mises, okay, known as theory of plastic potential. Very important theory. Now we discuss about Tresca yielding condition can be expressed in terms of Coitar's generalized plastic potential by defining the functions. First one, Tresca's yielding condition can be expressed in terms of Coitar's generalized plastic potential by defining the functions. First one, F1, that is equal to sigma 2 minus sigma 3 minus 2k. F2, that is equal to sigma 3 minus sigma 1 minus 2k. And F3 equal to sigma 1 minus sigma 2 minus 2k. F4, that is equal to minus sigma 2 minus sigma 3 minus 2k. And F5 is equal to sigma 3 minus sigma 1 minus 2k. Okay, that is the F5. Now F6, that is equal to, we know, minus sigma 1 minus sigma 2 minus 2k, where sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3 are principal stresses. A state of stress below the yield limit. If F1, F2, F3, F6 means up to F6 are all are negative, yielding occurs when one or more of these F are equal to 0. Okay, one or more of the F are equal to 0. Okay, while all the other F's are negative, then epsilon dot 2 P, that is equal to lambda 1. E dot 3 P, that is equal to minus lambda 1. E dot 1 P, that is equal to 0. Oh, okay. Now here lambda 1 greater than 0. And E1, E2, E3 are the principal strain corresponding to sigma 1, sigma 2, sigma 3. The principal axes of strain tensor coincide with those of the stress tensor under Tresca's condition. Okay, so formal application of our method of derivation to a simple load deflection experiment may appear difficult if we twist a tube of ideal plastic material in torsion. The yield condition according to von Mises criterion is reached when the shearing stresses tau equal to k. The yielding stress plastic flow will continue with no possibility of increasing tau beyond k. Hence, if we limit ourselves to torsion and apply this equation, actually d sigma d tau equal to 0, which yields no useful information to deduce anything significant, we would have to consider adding other loads, for example tension or internal pressure in the tube. Now next slide, flow rule for work hardening material. Flow rule for work hardening material. First one, under Drucker's hypothesis as incorporated in his definition of work hardening material, the following consequences will be proved. First one, the yield surface and all subsequent loading surface must be convex. The yield surface and all subsequent loading surface must be convex. Okay, curvature outward. The plastic strain increment vector must be normal to the loading surface at a regular point and it must lie between adjacent normals to the loading surface. At a corner of the surface, the rate of change of plastic strain must be a linear function of the rate of change of the stress. So, to facilitate proof, let us think an increment stress d sigma ij as a vector ds in the 9-dimensional stress space. Okay, 9-dimensional stress space, and corresponding plastic strain DE Pij, okay, corresponding plastic strain DE Pij as the components of the vector DE. We may write down here ds dot DE, okay, dot product of two vector, magnitude value ds multiplied by DE and cos xi. This implies minus pi by 2 and pi by 2, the xi value lies. Now, if you draw the diagram, okay, now let P, this is the P point, P be a regular smooth point on the yield surface and D be the plastic strain, okay, DE, that is the plastic strain. DE plastic strain vector at P. According to this, all stress increment ds that will produce, okay, that will produce DE, that is vectors that represent loading in the stress space, and end at P and corresponding to DE must form an acute angle with DE. If we represent a hyperplane normal to DE by AB, then the vector ds is equal to d sigma ij, is this vector sigma ij, this one is the d sigma ij, okay. Now, the initial point of the ds vector represented by stress states inside or on the yield surface must thus all lie on one side of the hyperplane AB. However, ds are loading vector. They are outward, okay, by the tangent plane of the yield surface. Hence, the hyperplane AB must be plane of the loading surface. Since D is normal to the hyperplane, it is also tangent to the loading surface. Okay, normal to the yield surface at the point of tangency. Furthermore, since the yield surface lies on one side of the tangent plane, the yield surface is convex. Okay, yield surface is convex at P. Finally, since P is an arbitrary point of the yield surface, the convexity of the internal convexity of the internal plane, okay, internal convexity of the entire field surface is established. Since a regular point on a surface, there is an unique tangent plane. The hyperplane AB is unique at a regular point of the yield surface. In other words, at the smooth point of the yield surface, the direction of DE is independent of the direction of d sigma ij. At a corner on the yield surface, there may have been more than one limiting tangent plane. Okay, more than one limiting tangent plane. Now, the normality of the plastic strain, this equation, plastic strain E ijp A del F by del sigma ij if, okay, del F by del sigma if. Now, where this symbol looks like a is a function which may be depend on stress, okay, which may depend on stress and stress rate, strain and strain history. Since the work done by an external agency during loading must be positive, it is easy to show this must be non-negative. Equation 3 here is similar. Thus the loading function plays the role of a plastic potential. This equation is called consistency condition by pressure. Okay, consistency condition by pressure. Okay, consistency condition. So this equation, it means that the loading from the plastic state must lead to another plastic state, assuming K be a function Eij. Then during loading we must have F prime del F by del sigma ij, sigma dot ij, del F by del E ij p, E dot ij p, del F by del k by delta E ij p, del E dot ij p. It should be first one, this two, first one is the sigma dot and the next two see E dot p and E dot p, and ij is constant, okay, partial derivative. So after substituting this value a equal to looks like a, this vector del F by del sigma kl, sigma dot kl, del F by del E ij plus del F by del k del E ij del F by del sigma ij. Okay, del F by del sigma ij. Now epsilon dot ij that is equal to g dot del F by del sigma ij, del F by del sigma kl and sigma dot kl. This one. Okay. Now g prime that is equal to 1 by this minus del F by del E p mn, del F by del k del E mn p and del F del sigma mn. Okay. Now these results were first given by pressure for a loading surface that has a corners and Coitus generalization can be used. Such a surface is composed of a number of individual smooth loading surfaces which meet to form corners. The total plastic deformation can be written as a sum of contribution from the certain of the FNS as follows. Eij that is equal to P1 n Cp Hij and del Fn del sigma Kl by sigma dot Kl, where Cp, the value of Cp equal to 0 if Fp less than 0, or this value del F by del sigma Ij and sigma dot Ij that is less than equal to 0. Cp equal to 1, Fp 0 and del Fp by del sigma Ij sigma dot Ij greater than equal to 0, where Hp are the positive functions of stress, strain and strain history. It should be remarked that the properties deduced above, namely the convexity, normality, linearity, followed by Drucker's hypothesis, which is often interpreted as a statement that the material is stable. Hence, these properties may hold only for the class of stable material. Unstable materials do exist. Mild steel at its upper yield point is a well-known example. However, no general stress-strain relations have been proposed as yet for unstable materials. Okay. Now go to next slide. Okay, unstable. However, no general stress strain relations have been proposed as yet for unstable materials. Okay, very important. তাহলে heat should be marked properties deducted above, namely the convexity, normality and linearity. Okay, now if we choose F is equal to J2 minus K, or J2 is the second invariant of the stress deviation and K is a hardening parameter which depends on the plastic deformation. Okay, so this is the end of my lecture. If you have any doubt, you may ask. It is uploaded in YouTube. If you like it, you subscribe. Feel free, you may call if you have any doubt. Okay, thank you all.